What's happening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Park Lane Podcast with myself, Luke, Callum, and Wesley. Wes, how are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. A bit knackered, I have to say. It's been a long week, but yeah, very much looking forward to being back on and chatting Spurs again. I know it's been a while, so yeah, looking forward to it for sure.
Hey, Callum, how are you doing?
Same as Wes, mate. Been a long week, and it's going to be a long night as well. The first of 3 podcasts tonight for me, so fucking hell, I'm going to be dead for tomorrow.
Peace, and normal circumstances, I forgot to plug my mic in. So now we're plugged in. Now we're ready to go. Wouldn't be a show without me messing up somehow in the first 4 seconds. So, look, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the like button as well, and also follow us on all social platforms. TikTok, especially recently, has been really good. So keep commenting on there, liking all our posts, and do really appreciate it. Right, lads. Let's start by talking about the shit information first, and then we'll try and try and build on some positivity towards the end of the show, if possible. So first of all, let's talk about Thursday night's defeat against Bayern Munich. 4-0 loss. There wasn't really anything positive to talk about. I know neither of you boys actually watched the game, so we'll try and discuss it as best we can. Wes, I'll come to you first. There wasn't much turnaround from flying back from South Korea, 24 hours or so, and then flying to Germany to then play Bayern Munich. What doesn't make any sense to me really is why they didn't just fly straight to Munich, doing rest there, train, and then play. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know if it's like a facilities thing or, well, put it this way, I think half the lads that were in Korea have now been sent out on loan, so we probably had to drop them off first so then they could go here, there and everywhere. And then whoever was left then gets the flight effectively into Munich. So, and obviously we sold Son whilst we were out in Korea as well. So yeah, I think we've lost pretty much half of the squad that we've had at pre-season in the space of a few days. So yeah, I mean, it's good in one sense that the club are trying to be proactive and trying to get some of the younger players out on loan. But at the same time, it may leave us just a little bit short in terms of numbers on the ground for, the upcoming games that we do have, because we have got a bit of an injury list again. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm viewing that one.
Yeah, at least it was a little bit less for Daniel Levy to spend on plane tickets, but he got less air miles out of it, didn't he? So not so good in his upgrade.
He spent it sending Son's possessions out the training camp in a box on FedEx. So he used his air miles for that instead, mate. He sent them straight from Hotspur way to LA.
I know, we might have to turn this into a LAFC podcast, I think, from now on.
It'd be more fun than Spurs at the moment, let's put it that way.
No, it's all right. Levy done an interview with Gary Neville on the overlap. So, all's good. All's good.
Which addressed fuck all about Spurs. It was all about bloody his gripe with the FA and bloody all the other clubs. So it answered nothing.
Talking about that, Wes, did you enjoy the interview that he did with Gary Neville? Did you learn anything apart from the fact that he doesn't think he gets the respect that he deserves?
Well, one thing that I actually did not know was that the flooring in the general admission areas is apparently.
So you didn't know that?
I didn't know that actually. So yeah, that was something that I found out. I thought it was really interesting.
It saved one or two lorries getting it taken away, though, didn't it? It was probably
there is that.
In the floor that it did to just get it carried away in lorries.
Yeah, true. But obviously, I genuinely had no idea with regards to that. So that was something new. But I think it was quite interesting, and I know Callum just mentioned it there about Levy's gripe with the FA, and I thought it was quite interesting for him to almost call them out, because Levy doesn't tend to do interviews. He's not one to be in front of a camera type of thing anyway. So the fact that we got that in itself was quite interesting. And then I think the fact that he's there, sitting there, calling out the FA and basically saying you need to get a grip on the sport, I thought was quite interesting. But yeah, I think Callum was right. It doesn't really address what we, as fans, probably wanted it to address, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And I think so. This new CEO guy, he's been on the forefront of all these types of things. Like I think he wants people like Daniel Levy and others, to be more in front of the cameras, talking to fans and being more active. Like that's his kind of thing. And so we'll probably see more of that. But again, it was one of those classic journalist interviews, really, wasn't it? And I think Gary Neville did quite well to not really ask a lot, but also like ask some things that were relatively interesting. But he didn't push Daniel Levy, too much. At one point, he mentioned like lack of spending and then backtracked on it as Levy kind of cast an eye over to him because hasn't been an issue with lack of spending, right? He spent a hell of a lot of money. It's just been done so badly, and so look, I nearly didn't watch it because it gets to a point where like when you watch something like that, you don't learn anything anyway. So it's like, what's the point? But one of my clients was messaging me about it the other day whilst I was working, and I thought, do you know what? I'll watch it because otherwise I won't be able to talk about it when we discuss it on here. But we didn't really learn anything new, and I think he gets the respect he deserves for certain aspects. The stadium and the financial position the club is in, but he also gets pelters for the areas that he should be getting pelters for. And the other thing I didn't like is he said he stays out of, the football side of things, right? Until he gets to the point in which he needs negotiated, and then he gets involved or some bollocks like that. And I thought, well, that's the bit you don't need to be involved in. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Anyway, back to Thursday night, Callum. 4-0 loss to Bayern. Harry Kane scored, obviously, against Spurs, but then missed a penalty. How did you feel about, it's been a year, isn't it, since we've had the annual Harry Kane testimonials, we call it. How did you feel about Bayern scoring against us?
Weren't that fussed, to be honest. I just think most of these pre-season games mean fuck all. That's the thing. It's just about match sharpness, if anything, and like I was discussing off air before, it was like the amount of players that have actually left the squad that was in Hong Kong and Korea. It's just it's like just a travel card at the moment. They're all just doing it to get air miles. That's the thing. There's no down period. So it's just purely to get minutes in the legs. I think it was redundant, and I think it's like, 3 or 4 friendlies that we got to get a little bit more money into the Kane deal for the club. That was about it. So, and the fact Kane didn't celebrate to it, let's put it that way.
Right. Do you know what? I was a bit happy when he missed the penalty, to be fair. But at that point, it would have been floodgates open because I only think it was about 15, 20 minutes into the game, and it would have been 2-0. But I was going to say, Wes, it was men against boys. But actually, at one point, it was men against boys, and it was Spurs men against Bayern boys, but we still got beat. So I remember watched Alistair Gold's podcast, or the start of it at least, because I couldn't back it. To be honest with him, fair play to him, he's a decent lad, but I can't watch 45 minutes of him talking. He's got to do.
He probably says the same about us, to be fair.
Yeah, fair. And he does have a lot more viewers than us, so fair play. But I did watch the start, and he was trying to work his words around what you should say about Bayern Munich boys battering Spurs. But look, it was a bit embarrassing, really. Like, we just didn't look, regardless of which team they put out, Spurs just didn't look up for it. Do you know what I mean? Didn't have any answers for it. And it is worrying going into next Wednesday. We've got a Super Cup against PSG.
Yeah, it is, because obviously you lose quite heavily to Bayern Munich, who, yes, are a very, very good side. And I think, you mentioned there obviously about Kane scoring, and it was like, well, he was bound to. He's got some actually half-decent players that he's playing with now. So they are going to set him up. They are going to put things on a plate for him. And obviously being at Spurs, he was the one putting it on a plate for everybody else. And it was almost like you want Harry Kane on the end of Harry Kane's through passes and stuff like that. So... But yeah, it wasn't a good sort of look. I think maybe if we'd have come out at 3-0, you go, okay, but 4 just seems a bit of a tanking, especially in pre-season. And it's not like we've got another game before PSG to potentially try and put things right. So you're literally going off the back of a heavy defeat straight into a big game against, the Champions League winners. Everybody knows what they've done in the last sort of year or so under Luis Enrique, like literally transformed them. But yeah, I think the big plus, well, I say the big plus for us is that João Neves is suspended, but then you look at the quality that they can bring in, someone like Warren Zaïre-Emery to kind of take his place, and you're like, I can't even celebrate the fact that João Neves isn't playing because Zaïre-Emery is a top talent in himself. So yeah, it's not the most ideal of circumstances going into that PSG game. But yeah, I think people have been asking me what I'm thinking about it. I think if we keep it down to 4, we've done bloody well, to be honest.
Do you know what? It's one of those games that, like, because it's like so far on the back of last season, and it's like such a random game. Like, to me, I'm not going to say I'm not bothered about it. Like, I don't even know how. Let's say we win the game, right? I'm not even sure how I feel. Like, it feels like, no offense to Palace, right? But it feels a little bit like Charity Shield times. Do you know what I mean? Like, is it really a trophy? Is it not? Like, a one-game shootout, I'm always a bit dubious about them.
Listen, mate, if, and this is a huge if we end up beating PSG, mate, everybody will be celebrating. We will be going mental. Let's put it right.
Is we should get you to say, if we beat PSG, I will, and then see what goes down.
I'll just have a celebrate. Well, I'll celebrate the victory, and that's about it. I'm not going to do anything stupid because
not going for like an El Hadj Juff, dye your hair.
No. I don't think I'd get away with it. A, because of my age, and B, because of my job. So yeah, I've got no chance.
Fair enough. Alan, what are you going to do if we win the Super Cup? I was about to say you've already done that.
Probably go to bed afterwards, maybe. That's about it.
No. Lads. Anyway.
What would you do if we won it, Luke? What would you do if we won the Super Cup?
I don't know, because the problem is, right, I'm a bit too optimistic on things. I don't want to go too bold, like, go for a R9 haircut or something. I don't know, I'm trying to think. To be fair, I would be hard back on, so it's not like anyone's going to know anyway, is it?
Well, this is the thing. Well, maybe if we do win, you have to come back on. You have to see the season out. There you go.
Oh, God, yeah. You have to stay on for the rest of the season. There you go.
One more year.
One more year, yeah.
Give it Giggsy till the end of the season. There we go.
Exactly. One of the big issues on Thursday for me was the left side of defence, the left back position. I felt like Jed Spence's had his good times in that position under Ange Postecoglou, and I feel like against Arsenal he played well as well. But I really think he struggled, especially against the likes of Kingsley Coman. He was at fault for the third goal, especially. The second goal, I should say. What are your thoughts on him and Ben Davies in particular? Because Thomas Frank has come out today, or yesterday, and said that we don't need to sign a left back because both Jed Spence and Ben Davies are perfectly okay to fill in that position.
Callum?
I mean, I don't know, to be honest, because when you look at it, they've both... Well, Spencer's played all right, and there was obviously them rumours that he's apparently in talks for another new deal and all that, but I don't really think he's that good as a left-back. I do see him more as a right-back, to be honest. So I think that if Frank thinks that, then I believe from at least an outside point of view, he's being naive, to be honest. And Ben Davies is not good enough to do anything for us apart from being maybe an elder statesman in the squad. That's all he offers, to be honest. I don't feel confident with us going into the Premier League and 4 competitions with them two as our left back backups. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, bear in mind one of them is a right back and the other one probably has played in his latter days more left-sided centre-back than he has, especially for international team, than left-back. It's not ideal going, but do we have any update on Destiny Udogie, Callum?
There's a chance that we'll know more in the next couple of days, but I believe that it's not a long-term injury like that.
How long do they need? He's been injured for like at least 2 weeks.
waiting for the swelling to go down on his ankle.
Fucking hell, man. It's just a joke. I mean, surely you should know by now. Anyway, so
Why you're always saying patient, aren't you, Luke? You got no patience for anything.
mate, I think 2 weeks for them to find out what's wrong with somebody is that they should know a rough date by now.
Yeah, but we have to wait for a doctor's appointment, and we have to wait God knows how long for one of them to find out what's wrong with us. So, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we've got to take him down North Mid, ain't we? So, I mean, we all know how bad that is as an A&E. The past 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. But on the brighter side, we also don't have a creative midfielder either, with James Maddison and Dejan Kulusevski both out long term. Feel bad for Maddison, to be fair. Can't be easy on him. I've given him a lot of stick, over the time, but a well deserved stick as well, I think. But to injure the exact same injury that you've just, come back from is not ideal, and it can't be easy, especially when your only job, right, is being a professional footballer. Like, while you're injured, what do you do with your time? It must be hard on him sitting in his 10-bedroom house with his 6 cars and whatever else he's got going on.
I think he'll be all right. He's got more twins on the way, ain't he, as well? So I think he'll be busy for that time. Let's put it that way.
No, fair enough. But Wes, do you think this is a position that Spurs need to strengthen now, or do you think someone like Papsar, who seems to have been given that responsibility recently, is up for the challenge?
We need a creative player. I know we effectively got away with it in the Europa League final, playing Basuma, Bentancur and Sarr, but we are crying out for creativity. Obviously, I was at the Luton game in pre-season, and it's crying out for somebody just to get the ball on the half turn, somebody to try and connect the midfield to the forward line, to make runs from deep, getting into the box. We are starved of it at the moment, and we need to go into the market and get somebody. I felt like we needed to do that anyway, but I think even more so now, given the circumstances that we've got. Maddison obviously pretty much out for the season, ruptured ACL. Kulusevski nowhere near any chance of coming back anytime soon. So yeah, I think we need somebody, and I think everybody was getting their heads around the idea, obviously, of Morgan Gibbs-White and what he would add to the squad. Obviously, Marinakis held a gun to his head and then slapped 180 grand a week on the table. So, that kind of softened the blow for Gibbs-White. His missus anyway, because she was wanting to have that London money. But I think now it's time for us to whack that release clause for a certain Eberechi Eze. We have to get him now. We should have had him at least 3 or 4 times, really. But if we don't get this deal done now, then it's absolutely pointless. And he goes into the Leandro Damião category and the Isco category of, always linked every window and never gets signed.
Do you know what? I was reading, I don't know the source very well, right? But I was reading today that Arsenal are looking to...
But Arsenal have been sniffing for a while as well.
I don't know how true this is. It says once Palace have a replacement, he will go to Arsenal. Whether that's a true statement or not, I don't know. But
it's an easy deal, really, for Spurs to get done because he has a release clause, and the agency he's with is owned by Levy's cousin. So do you know what I mean? Like, flipping hell, lads, just do something. Like, not only do we need a creative midfielder.
That release clause is no longer in effect anymore. But then again, I don't know how.
Listen, mate. Marinakis grasped on us for Gibbs-White's release clause, so I'm pretty sure there's one for Eze somewhere along the line that we know about. That we know about anyway at Tottenham. I think we need to do something. I think it's not just creative midfielder that we need to strengthen as well. Maybe in a fullback area, as you mentioned earlier. Or a left-sided centre-back would be great. And then I also think potentially now Son's gone, a left-sided player, I think, would be great.
Yeah, I think a left-sided player, especially with Mikey Moore going out on loan, selling Son. The only place he's ever played Tell is up front.
But he's not a number 9. But he's not a number 9.
So then that literally would only leave Brennan Johnson coming over and playing on that left side, which we've seen happen in a couple of preseason games.
And he's been shite.
Or Odobert. And again, he was injured for a large part of last season as well. So, not somebody that you can bank on playing twice a week for the entire season.
I think it was easier for us all to name the players that weren't out for a sustained period of time last season, to be fair, because obviously the amount of injuries that we had. I do think Solanke's been a big miss as well in pre-season.
Yeah.
I think the way he helps and does a job for the team is massively underrated. I think it goes unnoticed because now we're in a stats-based world, if you like, where it has to be about your numbers and your goals, your assists, goal contributions, everything else. But yeah, in terms of a left-sided player, I don't necessarily know in terms of options that would be viable for Spurs. And also that sort of number 10, I know as mentioned Eze, but it's like other than that, like really who is out there that would be viable for Tottenham? Like, of course, you could throw names at me, but it's one of them. Well, are they actually viable for Tottenham in our current state? That's the question.
Yeah, actually, jumping on that, Callum, is there anybody that springs to mind that you think Spurs could go out or should go out and try and get?
A name that is being looked at is Tyler Dibbling. I wouldn't say it's someone I think we should go and get, because if you go and move for him, you still got to get another established proper 10 as well, sort of thing. If you're going to get him, you go and get someone like an Eze, a McAtee. He's to supplement a deal, not to be the deal, if you get what I mean, that you want. And that's where I think we fell down with Wes's mate Odobert last year, that we went out and got him, but we was expecting something proper as well, and we only did the deal, if you get what I mean. So yeah, I think he's been looked at. There's also not really left wing, but someone more in the centre is more Nico Paz as well. But the fees that are being quoted are astronomical, and we have to negotiate with not only Como but Real Madrid as well. I mean, only Spurs could choose a deal where you had to negotiate with 2 fucking clubs, not just one club. How is that?
Spurs at least have a good relationship with Real Madrid, so that's
No. Real Madrid have a good relationship with Spurs because Real Madrid take Spurs' best players. Let's get it out there.
Yeah, and the only reason we're going for Como is it's only because he's got a matching clause, a buyback clause, and a 50% sell-on clause. So you've got 3 clauses to compete with, not just 1 clause in it. So, so literally we thought Morgan Gibbs-White and Fat Marinakis was difficult. I mean, fucking hell, we're dealing with Perez, Como, and then Real in its entirety. So, yeah, it's one of them. But, El Canous is on the list as well. He had a good game today for Leicester. I don't actually see all the hype around him, if you get what I mean, but I think he's likely. Same with Mainu, Elliott.
Yeah, I was just going to say about Harvey Elliott, Cal. Is he someone that the club are sort of actively looking at?
Way too high, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he is on the list. They do rate him, but it's the figures that are being looked at, and it's whether he's going to be playing as well, guaranteed. That's what he wants as the main point to transfer. It's because it's World Cup year and all that bollocks. He wants to play. And apparently, Liverpool want a buyback clause as well. So I'm not sure how that one will work either.
Well, I watched the Liverpool documentary with that they did on Klopp in like his final, and I'm thinking, because they did a feature on Harvey Elliott, and I'm literally going, I would stay well clear. Not only for him, but for his support network as well. I would stay massively well clear of Harvey Elliott.
And that's the problem.
The other 2 names that obviously Well, one that I keep spouting, which I think Chelsea are probably going to end up doing, which is Garnacho. I think he can play both on the left and could slot into that space if we needed. But again, it looks like Chelsea are going to try and do that, which says it all to me, really. But then obviously the final option, which just feels like we're going all the way back to 2016 at the moment, which would be old Jack Grealish. They talk obviously Everton are in advanced talks of a loan move for him, and a lot of Spurs fans today were suggesting, well, why aren't we going for him? And my only response was because he's pony. But I just wanted to kind of get.
Well, he's coming up to 30 and he's on 300 grand a week. Not going to happen.
Yeah, let Fenway Group have him at Everton. Let them fuck about with him because he's just not worth it.
And I don't think he'd reroute either, because obviously he'd probably have to move. Whereas if he goes to Everton, there's a chance he could probably get away with staying where he is.
Yeah, good point. Because depending on where he lives as well. Yeah.
Do you think he'll leave all these local pubs?
No, he's got good memberships by all accounts, so they'll be gutted if he leaves.
It's only a Spoons.
Mate, he's like rinsing the 2-for-1s and a curry club on a Thursday. He's rinsing it, mate.
Rinsing the jug of woo and Wetherspoons on that.
Literally, Purple Rain. He's all over it, mate. He's like Prince.
So really, we're quite screwed, to be fair, when it comes to who we could get and what we would do. I think most of us, right, would suggest that the Eze deal seems to be the easiest. Spurs already showed they had 60 million or in some capacity to be able to trigger, and I use it, trigger Morgan Gibbs White release clause, which is stupid from Spurs because now the fans know that money is available for transfer. That's a kind of bid that probably could pry, even if a release clause isn't there anymore, right? From
I think if it's not, it's 60 plus add-ons, and I think you're looking at least 8 to 10 million add-ons for that. That's my gut feeling on that one anyway. If it's not the release clause, then they'll want another 8 million potentially.
Yeah,
8 to 10 million
like anything, right? If you've got 60 million, you've got an extra 8 to 10 million on add-ons, like for potential fees, right? I mean,
that's any normal club, but this is Tottenham.
Yeah,
this is Daniel Levy we're talking about.
Do you see us, Callum, signing somebody for that, or do you see Thomas Frank have to make do with what you've got?
I'm still hearing that we do want to do 2 or 3 more signings before the end of the window, but the profile is the question which I keep asking, and they're not being very straight, if you get what I mean. They're very iffy about it. I mean, do you go for the fully proven, the proven but talented player, or just the young prospect player? And that's where it's a little bit iffy, if you get what I mean, at the moment.
Yeah, always tricky when you state that you want to win the Premier League and the Champions League, and the Europa League's not enough.
The fucking problem was they didn't put a time frame on it, did they? They didn't say whether that was by 2040.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we'll all be in a box by then, to be fair.
Fingers crossed. Fingers fucking crossed.
Not by 2040, but by the time we win the Prem or the Champions League.
Right, let's move on. Let's talk about some positive news, and that Spurs next Wednesday are going to win the Super Cup, which is exciting. No, all jokes aside, it's the opportunity for Thomas Frank to win his first trophy as Spurs manager.
Second.
Oh yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, second if we count the Herbalife Trophy or whatever it was called.
Yeah, Tim Pot Shit Pot Cup. There we go.
Listen, Arsenal didn't win it, did they? Let's be honest.
Still can't win a trophy.
They did fuck all. That's the problem. And did you see Gokares getting 6.1 and 6.4 on his Opta stats to start off with on his first games?
But yeah, it's a difficult one, right? Because being honest with you, if we had our mate Ange Postecoglou, I'd have been very, very confident ahead of the upcoming game. But my concern is Frank, I mean this in the nicest possible way, Frank's, naivety in terms of these big games against big European oppositions. And that's always been my concern over hiring in general. The lack of experience, I suppose, is probably the better way to describe it. the one thing I thought, and we might still see it, coming into the Premier League, was that at least with Thomas Frank, we would concede less goals. But, we look very, very fragile, even with, bear in mind, Spence at left back, we're pretty much, our strongest back four, and we still conceded 4 against Bayern. So, realistically, Wes, how do you see the lineup, happening against PSG on Wednesday?
To be honest, I think we'll be lucky to win the bloody coin toss against them, to be honest. Genuinely, Vicario in goal. I'd probably assume the back four will probably be the one that played against Bayern Munich, because I don't think your doggy will be back in time. Midfield, we've only really got, Bentancur, Paulinho, Bentancur, Sarr, because I think, obviously, the club are looking to potentially shift Basuma. Front three, no Solanke, so that screams Matthias Tell through the middle.
Right.
Johnson on one wing, or Kudus on one wing, Johnson on the other potentially. And I think he's going to potentially try to have a fluid front three. It might actually be worth us going to a back three and having Danso, Romero and Van der Ven as 3 centre-halves with Porro and Spence as wing-backs, and then the front three can be a little bit more fluid. Kudus can pick up pockets that he might be able to get on the ball and try and make something happen, because I think that's what he's been trying to do in pre-season. But yeah, listen, it's just gonna be a very long night at the office. Let's be honest. Everybody knows what this PSG team's been about in the last year or so, and I think it's quite crazy to think that actually we could have had Luis Enrique in our dugout if someone had listened to some Italian geezer called Fabio Paratici. But yeah, I kind of understand what you mean in terms of having Ange in the dugout. I also feel like the one kind of person I would want in the dugout for this game is Mourinho, because I think he's just one that loves the underdog story, and when everything's stacked against you, he still pulls out a result. So listen, I didn't like Mourinho's football at all, but as a person, I have a lot of time and a lot of respect for Jose Mourinho, and I feel like he would probably get us a result in this game. So yeah, I'm not overly looking forward to it, and also I think from what I've seen, I don't see anything that is giving me that positivity heading into this season that we're gonna actually do something or whatever this season. So yeah, I think we'll get a heavy pasting against PSG, and then I think we're also going to struggle in the league this year. That's my honest opinion, to be fair.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Obviously why I've said Ange is because he was also our most recent manager in that sense, and obviously he won us our most recent.
Not because he was your favourite that you've had in a while or anything.
Mate, I'm still sad. The days that I still think about Ange still make me sad inside, and that's just always going to continue for the foreseeable. But it also doesn't help, right? Because a lot of people that I meet and that I go out with and whatnot are all a lot of them are on the green side of Scotland. So a lot of them all speak to me about Ange, and because I think they've got favourable thoughts of him up here as well. So that's why it never gets out of my memory. It's like meeting old family members you haven't seen in a few years. They ask about a girl that doesn't exist anymore, and all brings it all back and makes you a bit teary inside. But anyway, do you know what? Let's have a bit of fun and let's have some score predictions. Realistic score predictions for the Super Cup, just between us. So, Callum, I'll come to you first. First of all, do you have any thoughts on the lineup compared to what Wes said? Do you have any changes that you'd like to make?
Probably going to have to be Spence, Porro, Van der Ven, Romero. I reckon that we may see Basuma alongside Sarr and Bentancur in the middle, with probably Kudus, Johnson and Tell. I think where I see it, to be honest. I hope Charleston is literally turned into a pigeon pie, to be honest, to just save me having to watch him after the shit pre-season that he's had, to be honest. And other than that, it's not really much that you can do, and the bench is going to be dead. Let's put it that way.
No, fair enough. David Clark has said, Anders gone, Son has gone, Kane has gone, PSG 6, Spurs 2. Yeah, could be a thriller in Udinese. But let's go through some comments because I haven't done any comments for ages before we go through our score predictions, actually. David Clark also said, you believe Levy still wants 3 signings in this window. I'm laughing so much I'm falling off my chair. You still believe after 24 years of... And then I couldn't possibly say what word he used. But Pat Thomas said, whoa, guys. We conceded 1 offside and 3 scorching worldies against Bayern. We defended poorly, but the goals were exceptions. Interesting.
Well, if you defend properly, then the goals aren't exceptions, then are they? If we defend well, then, do you know what I mean? You don't concede goals. It's as simple as that.
No, fair enough. What's the point? FC said it's the same old tricks from Levy, start the fans with boring football under Jose and Conte, and then bring exciting Ange, and now he's gone back to boring Frank, but he'll never back any of them. That's really the problem, isn't it? And over the years, whilst there's different managers that come in, the same principles exist. It's not necessarily about backing them in terms of finances. It's backing them in terms of what they actually want. And that's the issue. It's giving them the players and the tools that can actually do it rather than spending the money. And it seems really crazy from Spurs because Daniel Levy is someone who's so hell-bent on the numbers and not wasting money. He seems to waste a hell of a lot of money in terms of poor signings. So that's
never mind the compo for sacking a manager as well, by the way.
Oh, that's astronomical figures now, isn't it? It's near on 30 million, I think, with Conte, Mourinho, and fucking Nuno. 10 games in.
The truth will set you free, said Wes knows his stuff. So there you go, that's Wes's burner account for you.
Yeah, boy.
It's Wes's mum again.
Patch Thomas said for me the disappointing performances were Johnson and Ritchie. Let's see what else we've got here. How to Brainwash an Entire Fan Base by Daniel Levy, available in all good bookstores nationwide. Anyway, let's go then. Score prediction time for the PSG game. I'll go first. Don't panic, lads. I'll let you all. I'm going to say I'm going to go 1-1 at full time, and then we'll see what happens after that.
We've got to get a winner. We've got to get a winner, Luke. We've got to get a winner. Who wins on pens?
Yeah, Spurs on pens. 1-1, Spurs on pens. That's as positive as I'm being. Callum, what are you going for?
I'm going to go 2-1 PSG.
Okay, so a defeat, but not a heavy defeat. I like it.
No, not an ergonomious defeat where we literally just regret life.
And Wes?
5-0 PSG.
Oh, dear Lord. 5-0 PSG. Okay.
Mate, our midfielder are going to be lucky to see the ball the way they bop it about. Do you know what I mean? They're going to be chasing shadows for 90 minutes, mate. Especially with Vitinha around. Christ almighty.
Oh, he is class, to be fair. And I mean, the only good thing is there's that guy that's banned for him, isn't it?
Yeah, João Neves. But then they got Zayn Emery to come in. Do you know what I mean? So
Spurs actually inquired about him about 2 weeks ago when they were speaking to him about Colomani.
Well, PSG probably just laughed in our faces.
No, we got told literally 90 to 120 million or not at all.
So not at all then?
Yeah.
Right. So, look, not positive about PSG, but surely we've got to be positive about Saturday. First game back in the Premier League. Spurs at home against Burnley. Wes will be there. So,
obviously.
Good omens and all that. Wes, how are you feeling about next Saturday's match, opening game of the Premier League season against Burnley?
I am really looking forward to it. It's a game and anybody that knows me knows like my affiliation to Burnley. It's somewhere that I never thought I'd be saying, but it has a special place in my heart after a couple of years of university life up there. So it's going to feel a little bit strange for me because I'll know near enough 90% of the Burnley chants, obviously from having been going to watch a few Burnley games whilst I was up there.
Burnley. It's not hard, is it?
No,
it's not very creative, can you say?
But yeah, I'm just looking forward to the game. It's like I think Burnley have had an interesting transfer window as well. Obviously losing James Trafford, they've brought in some like experience, especially with Kyle Walker. Although they've spent 45 million shopping at Chelsea with Humphreys, Brozier, Humphreys, Brozier, and Ogwagotchi. I think I've got that right. So that's going to be interesting. But I feel like we should get the job done realistically. But yeah, it's just a game I'm looking forward to because it's a fixture that I always look for on the calendar, and when Burnley are never in the Prem, I am genuinely gutted that they aren't in the Prem. So yeah, it's just a fixture and a game that I'm just really looking forward to, and yeah, I'm hoping that we can start the season in a positive way. I feel like Frank's got a lot to prove, not so much against PSG because of the nature of PSG and the team they are, but certainly in this game against Burnley because these were the types of games last year that I know we got beat by everybody pretty much, but we notoriously struggle in these types of games.
Yeah.
So I feel like if he wants to get, say, the fans on side early, start with a real positive feel, I think, getting 3 points wouldn't go amiss in this game. And it's going to be interesting to see, especially from my point of view, how we play and what are we looking to try and do. Because I think that was something that was levelled at Ange quite a lot last season. It was like, what are we actually doing? What are we actually trying to do and achieve when we play? And I feel like Frank has to get that identity out in that game, probably more so for me than the PSG game.
Yeah, and especially against a side who are in the Championship, and yes, we can say it is only the Championship, never conceded more than one goal a game, I think, for the entire season. So we know what's going to happen. They are going to sit back, they are going to soak up the pressure, and they are going to try and frustrate us. And, for all my love for Ange, that's probably the one part that I felt he never managed to get, and that was to break down a low block and be able to get the players making those key passes to do that. And so with Frank and his, him being a better footballing brain or, whatever they might want to say about him, this is the type of game where you'd want him to be able to figure out a way to win. And so, yeah.
But yeah, no, I think obviously whenever Scott Parker's been in the Championship, he's always been about defence first, keeping clean sheets. I think he's been fortunate at the other two clubs that he was at in terms of Bournemouth and Fulham, where he had an absolute gunman like up top in the Championship in the terms of like Mitrovic and Solanke. It got levelled that they were boring Burnley last year, but he didn't really have that killer striker, and I don't think Brozier's going to be that player, but he's got somebody in a similar mould potentially to Mitrovic, slightly more mobile when he's fit, because obviously Brozier's injury record is absolutely horrendous, so God knows how he passed the medical. It must have been like over the 3 days that he was actually fit, and that's how he passed his medical. But yeah, Parker's always been sort of like build from the back type of manager first. So yeah, I think he does try and play, but it's more of surrounding that defensive solidity first, and then we'll try and play. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see, obviously, how we, like you say, Luke, try and break that down. Because yeah, especially now we've not got a number 10, it's going to be, I think, very much a case of trying to pull them around and get in behind, low crosses in. It could have actually been a good game for Ange because of the way that we liked to play it, get it out wide, low crosses into the box, attack the space, etc., etc. So yeah, Frank and his team have got a bit of work to do in terms of their analysis, I think.
Definitely. We've got some early score predictions in. So David Clark has said Spurs 1-0, probably an own goal.
Hey,
Yeah, your mom's gone 2-1 Spurs.
hey,
Ronnie has said 1-1.
hey.
Um, Marvinsky Finesse has said 2-2
We
from
love a
Desmond.
Desmond. Love a
Yeah,
Desmond.
Ronnie said the club are leaving Frank out to dry.
Good.
Have we got anything else? No, that's it so far that we're looking at in score predictions. Callum, what do you think about next Saturday's game against Burnley? Do you see it being a difficult one?
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be one of the most boring games in my life, to be honest. They always are. I mean, the last fun game against Burnley was what, a 4-1, something like that, and that was about 5 years ago. So, yeah, I don't see anything sort of positive coming out of it. But if we win it 2-1, I'd be happy, to be honest. Just to start off with, it's these games where we need to pick up points, because I know we are going to struggle against top teams this year. So if we can finally break down one low block, I'll be happy. Let's put it that way.
To Frank as well, I suppose, if we're giving him any credit, is he at least likes the wingers to make crosses, and that's what a lot, Andrew, people were getting annoyed at Ange for that last season. So, but obviously, without someone like Solanke, I mean, Richie's not the best in the air, so it's not really helpful. But hoping this season that obviously we'll then end up with more goals from crosses. But quick one before we go on to score predictions. Pat Thomas has said we cannot afford to send Vuskovic on loan. It's really interesting one, this, because he's probably, for me, out of the younger players in our squad, been the standout player when he has played in pre-season. Where do you sit, Wes, on all this, sending a lot of players out on loan, and especially someone like Vuskovic? Do you see a part for him to play in this squad, or do you think we just have too many defenders and he wouldn't get a look at anyway?
I'd have had him in and around it, to be fair. I think I know it's difficult to compare because he's been in pre-season, we've played League One teams, but I like the look of him. I really do. I mean, the goal against Reading, he slotted it in like prime Harry Kane. Do you know what I mean? Proper slotted it like a veteran sort of centre forward, and you go in, this geezer's centre half. Bloody hell. And I just feel like he is him type of vibe. Do you know what I mean? I feel like we have these clutch of young players. I look at, say, Lancashire, and I agree with that one. Sending him out on loan, that Heung-Min Hook or whatever his name is, yeah, kind of understand that one. The ones that I'm struggling to get my head around in terms of why we're trying to send them out on loan is Vuskovic and Mikey Moore. Because Mikey Moore was playing, he was in and around our first team last year, obviously got some good exposure game time wise. I know fans were asking for more, pardon the pun, for him to play, but to then kind of send him out on loan, it was a bit strange. And to send him to Rangers as well, what's the point?
So I think on that one, that's the only one I understand. So for him, he clearly wants game time, and he's not going to get it right now starting time. But if you go to Rangers, they've got European football. He's going to play at the highest level in terms of obviously Scottish League, but also to play in such games like the Old Firm and other things like that. I think it would be really good experience for him as a young player. That's why I kind of get that. I would rather he played at Rangers than played in the Championship personally, just because also of the potential European games that he could play.
Yeah, I just feel like sometimes we don't handle our younger players very well. Yeah. In terms of we don't really have an idea or a plan in terms of what we're going to do with them, but we know there's a talent there. And so, yeah, I feel like with Mikey Moore, I think obviously his best position for me is left wing. And I feel like now Son's gone, instead of potentially splashing out on, a 40, 50, 60 million pound striker or left winger, we've got this talent here. Why don't we try and integrate him a little bit more in there? But yeah, that one, and then sending Vuskovic out on loan again doesn't kind of. I understand Dorrington and Phillips, but it feels like now we're just absolutely stacked at centre half, and it's like we keep getting links.
or is he still on?
I don't think he has,
No.
but he's been made available for loan.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a case of picking the right one. Obviously, Alfie Devine's gone out on loan again to Preston, but that's a strange one because he signs a new contract and then we send him out on loan with an option to buy. So it's like, what's the point in giving him a new contract? So again, that's a little bit of a head scratcher. But yeah, Vuskovic I'd have kept because I think there's one there that I feel like could have potentially broken into the first team and made a real impression in the first team at the same time.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think he's probably the one that's closest to that. I think if you look at him and Dragusin, I'm taking him as a centre back option instead of Dragusin. But Callum, let's crack into these score predictions then for the Burnley.
I've got to go.
You best get your score prediction in.
I said 2-1.
2-1 Spurs.
Yeah.
All right, sound mate. Well, thanks for being on, mate. How can everybody find you before you go?
So you can find me at Callum Stubbs 97, obviously Park Lane Podcast, Scarfy Spurs Talks, and Spurs Diehards as well, mate.
Perfect. Well, thanks again, mate, and see you again soon, I suppose.
Yeah, I know I'll speak to you still. I'll probably get a message from you daily.
Hopefully, mate. Hopefully. But yeah, you jump off and everybody go and check out Callum and make sure you go follow him all the other podcasts he's on.
Cheers, boys. Thanks for that and have a good evening. Take it easy.
Catch you later, Cal.
Bye.
He's gone. Right. We don't have too much to discuss. I mean, saying what's the point in signing Vuskovic if we keep sending him out on loan? I mean, the first two loans he had to go on because he couldn't actually be, signed for Spurs until I think he was 18. So he had to go on those loans. And look, this one is, I suppose he is only 18. So therefore they see him, as a future prospect. And when you've got the likes of Romero and Van der Ven, it's very hard to break into that first team. And I suppose also, you don't want to stifle his progression by not sending him out for game time and him having to sit on the bench. It's a tricky one.
Yeah, but then I feel like sometimes, I mean, if you look at what Pep has had and the way he handled Foden, he was like, no, we're not sending him out on loan. We're going to keep him. He's going to stay in and around, and learn off the players that he's working with. So I feel like we could have done that with Vuskovic and potentially Mikey Moore as well. And if you look at the other lot down the road with the likes of Ethan Nwaneri, Miles Lewis-Skelly, now Max Dowman coming in, like they're giving these lads the opportunity to showcase themselves, and now they're going to be hungry for it, and they're going to want to stay because they see that they're getting not what they want, but they're seeing that progression, they're seeing that pathway. Whereas I feel like we've got a big clutch of youngsters, and actually are they seeing that progression into the first team? Are they seeing that, okay, I can break through, or am I just going to be in the 21s for a little while and then I'll hit 22, not really done anything, and then I have to potentially leave and then find my way elsewhere where I could have potentially broken through at Spurs and made something.
Yeah, fair enough. It's a good point. It has been made in the chat as well regarding, Arsenal's 15-year-old that's been playing in pre-season as well. Right. So do you have a score prediction for Burnley?
I will go with 2-1 Spurs.
Nice. Do you know what? I'm going to go no score as well. I'm going to go 1-0 Spurs. I can see, either scrappy goal, late one, something where we knock and finally score. I'm hoping that we can keep a clean sheet. A 1-0 win on Frank Stevie for Spurs as manager in the Premier League would be ideal. But then it depends how much of a hammering we get on PSG, or how long we have to play against PSG on Wednesday night. Could affect obviously Saturday as well. But that kind of does wrap us up for tonight's show. I do want to thank everybody that has tuned in and everybody that's always tuned in to the channel. Those that don't know, today is my last show on the podcast, but obviously the rest of the gang should still be here giving you weekly Spurs content throughout the season. I want to thank every single person that's tuned into the podcast over the last 3 or so years that I've been doing it, even previously when it was under a different name. And it's grown and grown over the years. So I can only thank you all enough for reaching out, for tuning in every week, and for always being on. So I should be back at some point, throughout the season, hopefully. I'll be here to discuss different things, but I won't be on every single week. Wes, how can everybody find you?
That was an emotional speech, that, Luke, so I've got to try and top this now. So Twitter's at Wezo10, unofficial Moussa Dembele fan account, probably be an unofficial Kevin Danso fan account by the end of this coming season. So there's that. Instagram's at Wezo32. As you mentioned earlier, I'll be at the Burnley game, and one I'm really, really looking forward to. Majority of Spurs games I will be at in terms of the home ones anyway this season. And then anything football coaching related is Kofa MK across all your social, Kickoff Football Academy. So if anybody's got a young Kevin Danso-esque type player, or the next Dele Alli, next Leah Williamson, or anything like that, please send them my way. Love to help them along their footballing journey.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead and check Whereas on all those socials that you just mentioned, and if you do have any kids in the area, make sure they're getting their football training from there. Because if we find out using somebody else, we'll be deeply upset. Anyway, look, thanks again, everybody, for tuning in, and thanks for your continued support on the podcast. Hopefully, we'll still be here trying to bring you good stuff. David Clark has said, "Where are you going to start an Ange fan club?" No, sadly not. But I'm thinking of things to do. So potentially, I could just start, my one-man Ange fan club. Who knows? But anyway, enough of that. Thanks again. We will see you next time. And for the last time for me, a massive come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs!